Well, thank you, Catherine, and good afternoon, bon après-midi, and salam alaikum. As Catherine mentioned, one of the many hats I wear is I chair the Canada-Saudi Business Council, the CSBC. And the Business Council is designated by the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as the entity, the bilateral trade and investment organization between our two countries. And of course, we work with the private sector, connecting the two private sectors, co-investment in both directions, and working very closely with our governments and embassies and ministries. Now, members of the Canada-Saudi Business Council include Hatch, Bombardier, Brookfield, Weatherhaven, BMO, General Dynamics Land Systems, and Sagard Holdings, amongst 5 or 6 or 7 others. And they're very active in promoting the connection between the two countries, of course, promoting their own businesses and investments, but are really helping to make sure that the relationship grows and takes off. And as two G20 countries, Canada and Saudi Arabia have a great deal that they can do together. So I encourage you to think about the kingdom and the region as a potential partner in your businesses. Now, this year, this fall, is the beginning of our 10th anniversary. I wasn't there at the founding, but 10 years ago, 2015, the Canada-Saudi Business Council was established, and this visit by the Assistant Minister from the Ministry is part of the celebration of the 10th anniversary, and it continues into 2026. We have two-way visits from Canada to Saudi, from Saudi to Canada, and we're one of the few bilateral councils where we've put into the mandate that the Canadian companies and the Saudi companies will look to work together in third countries in different places around the world. Now, leading the ministry and the relationship is this Ministry of Investment of Saudi Arabia, MISA, and we're very pleased and privileged to have His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Aldubaikhi here. He is currently serving as the Assistant Minister of Investment of Saudi Arabia, or MISA. Now, the kingdom has been very wise recruiting business leaders to move from the private sector into service in government. And Dr. Abdullah is one such leader. And if you get to meet him during the conference, like so many Saudis, he, of course, is an engineer and an MBA, incredibly educated and experienced people. And Dr. Abdullah's 30-plus years of business and now government service has primarily been in global logistics, trade, and investment. And amongst the many corporations he's led is a very important one. He was the founder of a company called Saudi Arabia Livestock Investment Corporation, or SALIC. He was the founding CEO, and they've helped, that organization has helped in nation building in Saudi Arabia and food security, but has also helped Canada in its nation building because SALIC purchased the privatized wheat board. So they're the owners of the Canadian wheat board, and you would not believe the amazing investment and expansion that they've done in infrastructure and ports and terminals since investing in that. So with that as a bit of his background, as too many boards that he's served on, I want to just ask you to join me with a great Toronto Global Forum and Canadian welcome to His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Aldubaikhi.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Jeff. Actually, Jeff, forget to tell you something, that the most important terminology I learned while we are creating G3 is the fish window. So it took me a while to understand what is that terminology is, and I realized later on, for those who is not from British Columbia, fish window, that means from a certain time in July until a certain time in October, you cannot dig near the sea in order not to disturb the fish. So that's Canada. I mean, I would like to appreciate how much that you take care of fish, and making us waiting for a few months with our piles sitting aside. We're unable to dig those piles considering the fish. Thank you for a country that they take care of everything. Anyway, I would like to start with thanking the organizers of Toronto Global Forum for bringing us all together. I'm proud of being here in Canada, And of course, I mean, for the last 2.5 years, there is a tremendous growth within the Canadian companies coming to Saudi Arabia. For me personally, it is both pleasure and a privilege to be back in Canada, where I've spent important time across my previous roles, perhaps as mentioned by Jeff, which is during SALIC, when we created SALIC and Bungie, we created G3 after the acquisition, the success acquisition of Canadian Wheat Board. We've grown the Canadian Wheat Board from 13 country elevators to 27, to lake terminals, to a huge terminal in Vancouver. Actually, it is the largest now in the world. It is a very innovative one. Trains can offload while they are moving around the terminal, and it is the only terminal that can load 3 ships at the same time. So it is really a logistics. We will talk about it a bit later on. While Saudi-Canadian bilateral relations are over half a century the making, our economic ties have grown exponentially in recent years. In fact, Canada FDI stock in Saudi Arabia amount to 1.7 billion US dollar now, and nearly half of all the Canadian business now present in Canada have established their foothold in just last 2.5 years. In total, more than 530 Canadian companies are in sight, with 12 of those opening. Also, they have the regional headquarters in the kingdom, demonstrating Canadian investors' confidence and strategic value and the strategic value that they see operating from the heart of the MENA region. There is also close alignment between our Vision 2030 and Canada Agenda 2030, with both blueprints in integrating sustainable development while chartering a clear inspiration of the green economy and leveraging new technologies. And in parallel, our sectorial strengths mirror each other's, and we will demonstrate that in a while. And with your permission, I would like to touch on a few of those strategies. I'll start with agriculture, since it is the subject of talk, and of course that touches all of us and both of the countries. You have, of course, the privileges of having a competitive advantage of oversupply, and of course we have the need because we are a desert country. Agriculture, Canada stands among the world's leading exports of grain, oil, seed, and livestock, while the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is advancing food security and diversifying its economy under Vision 2030. In terms of numbers, agriculture and food processing together contribute about 48 billion US dollars, or 4.4% of Saudi Arabia GDP, which equals roughly to 1,350 US dollars per capita. At the same time, Saudi Arabia represents 60% of MENA food market, which is projected to surpass 130 billion US dollars by 2030. While the global halal, which is something that we will be working together with you in that, it is a very important market, now it's expected to reach $1.7 trillion. US dollar, of course. By comparison, Canada agriculture's and agri-food system generates 100 billion US dollar, or some 7% of your national GDP, equivalent to $1,650 per capita. These figures demonstrate both progress in the kingdom has made, its pivotal role in regional hub and gateway for food security and halal export, and they highlight the complementary things that Canada can bring through its world-class agri-food expertise and sustainable standards. A flagship, of course, example, Saudi Arabia-Canadian partnership in G3 Canada, which is we mentioned already, in passing area which co-owned by SALIC and Bungie, with more than $1 billion already spent in that project. Of course, this is, I mean, it is a grain network and it's a grain logistics that we are proud of. And what we are planning is, with the permission of SALIC new management now, is to expand the activities of SALIC to cover various agriculture and agri-industries, such as the livestock and meat processing. Another example, which is the red meat. And of course, you have a lot of expertise in this, and you have surplus so far. If you look at the numbers, you will see that clearly point strong potential for collaboration in feed, livestock, and meat processing ventures, building resilient supply chain that meet growing regional demand. And by expanding the G3 model, which is I already talked about, beyond grain, to include red meat, feed, agriculture, and processed food, both Saudi Arabia and Canada can co-invest to advance their national food security goals while contributing to the global food security in general and securing sustainable food system for future generations. Another vertical is mining. And of course, Canada is well known for that, where Saudi Arabia leaped from 104th place in 2013 to 23rd place last year. A remarkable achievement that reflects the kingdom transformation into one of the fastest growing and most attractive mining economies in the world, and been by $2.5 trillion worth of variable minerals reserve as of today. And my colleague Fahad, correct me, we explored only 40% of the Arabian Shield so far. It's not the whole kingdom. The minerals that we have to secure essential resources, among them is the iron ore. We have copper, nickel, and lithium. To demonstrate mineral processing and other industrial activities, we have also launched a mining fund amounted to $15 billion, with other incentives, of course, for those who is exploring in Saudi Arabia. These resources obviously also are components of the IEFA manufacturing, where Saudi Arabia has ambition to producing close to 500,000 IEFAs per year by the end of this decade, and where Canada abundant resources of nickel and cobalt could help track between our countries. A third sector is the petroleum-based products, where Saudi Arabia and Canada, as world-leading producers and exporters, can deepen our relationship in joining forces, expertise, and experience to advance energy security and contribute to developing safer and more sustainable energy practice in global scale. Similarly, we are aligned in our ambition to expand our position in LNG, as evident by the Canadian 8 LNG projects and Aramco announcement only 2 years ago of its first international LNG investment when it talks minority stake in mid-ocean energy for $500 million. The same can be said for renewables, where Canada is one of the world's leading countries in both production and consumption, and with 12% of your total power generating projected to come from new renewable sources such as wind, solar, and tidal waves by 2035. You're also one of the world's top hydrogen producers, in addition to holding high ambition in cutting greenhouse gas emissions and building carbon capture and storage. In the kingdom, our goal includes having 50% of our energy production stem from renewables by end of this decade, while Saudi Aramco CCS hub aims to store up to 9 million tons of CO2 per year by the year 2027. To to mention, but not to just these two examples, overall, we see great opportunities in bringing Canadian know-how to advance the kingdom's massive untapped potential in solar and wind, and to increase our green hydrogen production and build resilient supply chain. Ladies and gentlemen, biotech represents yet another area of great complementary between the two countries, and Canada is the world's 9th largest pharmaceutical market globally, while Saudi Arabia's clear goal is to be the leading regional and global biotech hub, offering cross to import and to growing regional markets and contributing $35 billion to non-oil GDP by 2040. To achieve this, we take a comprehensive approach to biotechnology development focused on building an entire ecosystem for basic research to commercialize and localize of manufacturing of these products. This holds a great potential, whether through JVs or localized Canadian manufacturing plant in the kingdom. Canada also internationally recognized for its strength in healthcare, and that's obvious, of course, which include universal access, medical innovations, high-quality research, and advanced clinical and surgical specialization. Recognizing healthcare as one of our country's most important sectors, the Kingdom holds high ambitions in this space, such as aimed at increasing life expectancy from 74 years to 80 years in less than a decade and a half, as well as seeing the sectors contributing to GDP reach $67 billion by 2030. We also put our money where our mouth is by increasing healthcare services to third highest allocation of government spending, with over 17% of the fiscal in 2024. To help realize these ambitions, we seek Canadian expertise in digital health, medical care, education, telemedicine, and advanced healthcare solutions. A sector of strategic importance to us is the ICT, including artificial intelligence and advanced digital solution. Canada's potential role in this domain is well recognized, not only as the first OECD country to launch a national IA strategy in 2017, but also through its recent establishment of AI Strategy Task Force in 2025, aimed to renewing its leadership in resilience and sovereign AI development. Canada home to 5 global innovations clusters, including its Scale AI and Digital Technology Super Cluster, which are deriving AI integration across supply chain, manufacturing, and ocean technologies. With over 140,000 AI professionals and 10% of the world's top-tier AI researchers, Canada remarks second globally in AI talent indices and leads the G7 in AI-related academic output. These strengths are further reinforced by robust R&D infrastructure and a fervent startup ecosystem and commitment to safe and ethical AI deployment. Okay. The list is long, but I would like really to thank you for the time and for listening. And we have seen, what we can offer by the presentation that made by Bassem, and thank you very much.